Scoot, y'all, welcome back to Niner Wire. I'm your host, Sam, and today we are here to break down the 49ers moves from the tampering window. Last 2 days has been a great day for the 49ers, great 2 days for the 49ers, in my opinion. Really looking forward to talking to this, breaking this down for you guys. Really looking forward to it. We got a very special guest here. We got my good friend, Joel, right here. Joel, what's good, man?
Good. I am with you. I've seen a lot of slandering of the Niners offseason. I've seen some, but I overall am higher on it than most. So I'm with you. I think we've had a pretty good offseason tampering window so far.
Yeah, man, tampering window. I mean, we've made a few moves, not as many as I thought we would, but so far looking fantastic. I really like these signings. We're going to break them down all to you right here. There's a few I don't like, but we'll get into it right now. Before we do that, guys, make sure to follow me on Twitter at NinerWireSam. My Instagram's at NinerWire_YT. If you're watching this on Twitter, make sure to subscribe to Ninerwire on YouTube. Post a lot of stuff on two of the three platforms. Instagram, not as much, but might as well go follow me there. Sometimes I'll post something there. Also, guys, check out Talking Niners Pod with me and Kobe, who's been on a few of my streams. Follow us on Twitter at Talking Niners Pod. Also, guys, podcast available wherever you get your podcast, so check that out. And as always, you got any questions, comments, concerns, make sure to leave them in the live chat below. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So I thought let's just start this off real quick with, let's talk about all the guys that we got real quick. Start with them. And then after that, we'll just talk about what we need next. So let's talk about the new guy that we brought in. Starting off with him, Samson Ebukam from the Los Angeles Rams on a 2-year, $12 million deal. That can go up to $13.5 million with all the incentives in place. Personally, so I really like this deal. First of all, so I was actually one of the few people that mentioned him off the bat. I mean, I kind of just threw the name out there. You can be the judge yourself. I don't really know if you want to call that a move like that you thought was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought we were going to go a bit more high profile. But Samson Ebukam, very underrated player. He's probably going to be the D Ford replacement. And this is a guy, as Grant Cohn said on his show the other day, that Saleh really liked him. He spoke with Robert Saleh. He's like, oh, that number 50 guy on the Los Angeles Rams, really good player. And I'm with him on that. He's a speed rusher, provides a lot of versatility, outside linebacker. Honestly, I think I tweeted this out yesterday, probably a bit of a reach. If we really wanted to, we can put him at competing with Azeez Al-Shaair if we really wanted to. I doubt that will happen, but that's what I'm thinking right now. He's probably going to be our edge, the D4 replacement. Overall, this is a fantastic sign, in my opinion. It's an absolute bargain, too. 2 years, $12 million, that's $6 million a year. That's what I think about it. Joel, give me your thoughts on this. What you think?
Second, one of the big things that you touched on that I like the most is health. I don't think he's missed a game so far, and he's now a 4-year veteran. So it's not like he's just gotten lucky with a couple healthy years. He's strung together multiple straight years of being healthy. He plays special teams. You know, he brings speed. And I mean, that's what you said, the D Ford replacement. I mean, I think if D Ford plays again, anything that we get from him is a bonus, and I don't think you could count on it. So I think getting a cheap, young enough, healthy replacement for him is a great signing. It's arguably my favorite move that we've made, and I'm with you. I'm huge on it.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't say this is my favorite move. I love this move. I do think we could have got a bit more high profile. That's just my opinion. But at the end of the day, Samson Ebukam for $6 million a year, I have no complaints about this too much. I did think we were going to go a bit more high profile, which is probably why I'm a bit biased towards the deal. But don't get me wrong, I love this deal. We do still need a bit more depth at edge, though, in my opinion. Samson Ebukam's not going to solve all our problems. With this move, I would just think Kerry Hyder's probably gone. I think a team's probably going to overpay Kerry Hyder. I think he was leaving either way. Solomon Thomas could be another guy that could be on the move. We don't really know what his status is, so that's definitely something to look at. But overall, love this move. The other move that we made at edge, D Ford, with that restructure contract, do you think he's staying, Joel?
Oh, man. I mean, I think he's played through injury before, and I think I heard it on, like you said, with Grant Cohn show. I think he is committed to try and come back. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm a little skeptical. I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on the D4 thing. I mean, I think here's the one thing with him. It's, again, a money game. And there's a lot of comments about Trent right there. Vincent says it right there. Yeah. Dawood says it right there. Pool SF Niners, LAL says it right there. There's a lot right there with Trent Williams. That's really the big story right now. And I think we'll talk about Trent Williams later in the video, so stay tuned for that. But the money game is going to have a huge impact on whatever we do because D Ford, that restructure, I mean, he's probably out the window, as you said, Joel. But that restructure, I mean, there could be that slim chance. I highly doubt it. but it could happen if we have the money. I think it's definitely worth keeping him, especially if we don't really have any other needs that we need to fill really. So, I mean, he's probably gone. I'm just speaking my mind right now. Really don't know. At Bay Area Baller says right here, I don't see that many pass rushing moves so far for the 49ers. And I mean, I think the thing with that, I disagree with that right there, because I think the Niners really rely on that edge depth and that defensive line depth. There's a lot that they have to do right there. So I kind of disagree with that. But as to the other point, the Rams did drop him a lot in the coverage. And I think that's another thing that the 49ers really like about Samson Ebukam, is because he is a versatile player. He can play. I mean, he's an outside linebacker, so he's not just a 4-3 DE. He's not just a 3-4 DE. He can be, or a 4-3 OLB, I should say. He can really play a lot of places. And the 49ers have had this consistency of versatility. You see that with Kyle Juszczyk. You see that with Jalen Hurd. Now you're going to see that with Samson Ebukam. Overall, great signing. Joel, if you had to give a grade on this, what would it be? Or do you want to answer that comment first?
One quick thing I want to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
What would you say has been one of our biggest forms of kryptonite in playing teams, just defensively?
Getting to the quarterback, quarterbacks, dual threat quarterbacks.
And since he's fast and they drop him into coverage, do you think he could play a factor in benefiting our ability to contain mobile quarterbacks?
Without a doubt, dude. You're totally right about that. And also, the other thing I didn't even mention, division guy. So he's going to know Kyler Murray. He's going to know Russell Wilson or the Seahawks or whoever the quarterback is. We're still unsure about that, I guess. I think it's going to be Russ, but
I think it's going to be Russ, but you're right.
Yeah, that's beyond the point. He's damn well going to know the Los Angeles Rams because he was just on that team for 4 years. And by the way, did not miss a single game. That is another huge thing. We have avoid that injury risk. At the moment, we avoid the injury risk. So that's definitely something to keep out for. D Ford, you have all that injury risk. Samson Ebukam, at the moment, you don't have that with him. So that's my thing about that. But getting to the quarterback, that's one thing that we very much missed last year with D Ford at the helm. When D Ford was on the field in 2019, we got to the quarterback a lot. We got to Lamar Jackson better. Actually, well, I don't think he played against Lamar Jackson, but we got to. Who was a mobile quarterback that we played when he was healthy?
Even though we lost the game, it was really close. Was he there in the one game where we played the Seahawks, or it was in Levi's?
It's too hard to track. I mean, he's just so injury prone. That's the thing with D Ford. But when he was on the field, he made a difference. That's the main point I'm trying to say. When he was on the field, it made a difference. When Samson Ebukam's on the field, I do believe that he can make a difference. I think having that defensive line with Kinlaw, with Armstead, with Bosa, those three are going to be the main focus. Ebukam's going to sneak up there like a little snake and then bite you right in the back. Just get you right there. So, yeah, man, that's what I'm thinking with Samson Ebukam. I love this deal. Love it. I
love it too.
You got anything else? Or go ahead.
You talked about grades. Like you said, not the most high profile, so it's not like a blockbuster like, oh, we got a complete proven stud for dead cheap. It's a great bargain, and I think that he can have a really positive impact. I'd honestly give it I'm between A and A minus. I'm really high on this deal.
Yeah, for me, it's an A for me. The only reason it's not an A plus is because I think we could have gone a bit more high profile, but overall, love this deal. This is a guy who's under the radar. No one really talked about him. I kind of threw him out there. I don't know if you want to count that. That's up to you. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this deal. Moving on. All right, let's talk about, so that's the only guy we brought in. Let's talk about the guys that we kept and that we left. Let's start with the guys that we kept, starting with Jason Verrett. And give me 1 second. Parag, oh, that's not the one. It's this one. There you go. Parag Marathe is a god. He is a wizard. He is the next Lord and Savior for this team. At first, you had Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Jesus. Now you got Parag the God. God damn, I love this move so much, as Bay Area Baller says right there. And that's the other thing with Ebukam, too, that no one mentioned right there. We can get out of his contract after 1 year. So, Parag, I mean, I might just leave this image up for a little bit, just keep us on the side, because that's who we're mainly talking about right there. Parag the God. Love this deal. 1 year, $5.5 million. Yes, it's a 1 year deal. But you got to look at what Jason Verrett has come through. He's had a lot of injury history. He hasn't been good in years prior. 2020 was really a breakout year for him. And I like that he's betting himself again because I do believe that if he stays healthy, he can make a lot more money than this. But now you get Parag Morate and making this deal. This is a phenomenal deal, man. I mean, it's ridiculous. Shaq Griffin got paid so much more than this, and we keep Jason Verrett on an absolute bargain of a contract. Steal. Cornerback 1 for $5.5 million. Are you kidding me? If Jason Verrett stays healthy, John Lynch and Parag Morate and this entire front office just robbed the bank. It's ridiculous. I love this deal so much. I'm literally just going to go on and on about how I love this deal. So, Joel, go ahead.
If I was talking about the Ebukam deal, this would be my favorite deal if it weren't for that, for a couple reasons. One, we had so many free agents in our secondary, and I was worried if we were going to have to. I didn't think we would overpay on Verrett just because of injury history, so we'd let him walk, which would be disappointing because he played like a top 10 corner last year. He was a stud, and obviously you can't really bank on that for a super long contract because of the injury history. But the fact that we get him back, and the fact that I really don't know if we can bring him back after this. Either maybe, God forbid, his past catches up with him and he doesn't have as productive of a year, or if he balls out, he's going to get maybe a 2-3 year big payday from another team in which we maybe won't be able to match it. But if we can get a similar level of production from him last year on this cheap of a deal, it's outstanding.
Oh, my Parag background's going away. Let me try to fix this. So I clicked the tab and I was trying to adjust something and then messed everything up. But Parag, the God, boom, shakalaka, right there. But yeah, as to your point, Joel, it just opens up a lot of cap. I thought that Jason Verrett was probably going to be around the $10 million range, somewhere around there. You get him for half the cost. Yes, it's a 1-year deal, but it's Jason Verrett. As I said earlier, there's a lot to prove. I think a 1-year deal is perfectly fine for him. I also think it would be a good idea just draft a cornerback, and then he can be the cornerback 1 next year behind Verrett. Maybe you let Verrett walk. I don't really know. We'll have to figure that out. But overall, man, I don't even need to say my grade on this. A+. It's that simple. All across the boards, A+. I will say, though, cornerback 2, that is now the biggest question. We locked up the cornerback 1 in Jason Verrett. That's what we were hoping for. We needed that high-profile guy like Verrett to come back. Now we're really only looking at cornerback 2 and possibly nickelback, depending on what the team does with Kalen Williams. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. You got anything else to say just about Jason Verrett's deal, Joel?
Great deal.
Great deal. It's that simple. By the way, there's other things to this contract. I didn't write that down in my notes, so my apologies. But I think the cap hits.
There's the Pro Bowl incentive. Is that the thing you were talking about, or something else?
Yeah, there's more to that. The Pro Bowl incentive makes this contract $6.5 million. But there's also some I think the cap hits like 5.3 or something. There's a big signing bonus that's part of it too, I believe. So I don't really know what it is, but overall, this is a phenomenal deal, man. I love this. I'm just so hyped to get. We'll talk about Juszczyk in a sec, but you get 2 of the 3 guys back that you needed. To get back, or at least needed some caliber of a player to have on this team. You get 2 of those 3 guys back at absolute bargains. And let's move on to the other bargain. And we'll keep the Parag picture up for now because this is one of my favorite deals, again, with the Verrett deal. Parag Morate does his magic again. The wizard, the god, you name it. Doing it all, man. This dude is so valuable for a team. Parag Morate gets another guy who's as valuable to this team as Parag Morate. Kyle Juszczyk. And I know people are going to say in the comment section and a lot of tweets, and not this video, you guys are all smart. I know my viewers are smart. You guys got it. But in a lot of tweets, people are saying, oh, this is an overpay. You don't pay a fullback almost $6 million a year. If anyone's saying that, they don't watch football. This is a phenomenal deal. Another key piece to this team. You're getting him under $6 million. I thought he would go over $6 million. They get him under $6 million. He's just such a vital piece to this offense. It's absolutely ridiculous how we can get Jason Verrett and we got Jason Verrett and Kyle Juszczyk. You want to hear this? We got those 2 for the same amount that Nelson Aguilar is being paid, less than that.
Wow.
That's crazy. Just to put that in perspective, I know Nelson Aguilar did have a good season yesterday. No shots at him, but He got overpaid. We'll talk about another guy that the Patriots overpaid in just a minute. But Joel, what you got about Kyle Juszczyk? What's your thoughts on that?
As much as people want to diss on it, and one of the reasons why, and I don't know if this is a shot at Kyle or anything. I mean, you look at the stats. I think he only played in like 40% of our snaps or something last year on offense, which I would like if he could somehow get more touches. But when his number gets called and we give him a chance, he is so valuable. I mean, I think his blocking is maybe not quite as good as he used to be. It's still pretty good as a receiver, as a leader. I mean, he had how many touchdowns did he have last year? Like 4 or something? Like he had a
I mean, I don't know. It was definitely, I mean, he definitely contributed a lot to this team. So
contributes a lot to this team. And he's a leader. He's a fan favorite. He's been one of, he's one of the, I mean, I wouldn't say maybe he is kind of a cornerstone of this team. I mean, how long has he been with us?
Easily, dude. Yeah. I mean, he's been with us for 4 years, and he's been one of, if not the X factors of this offense. I mean, it's crazy how much this guy contributes.
Yes, he's contributes a lot. I mean, at this point, at this rate, I mean, contract length. I mean, I know it is voidable, but it looks like he's going to maybe spend the rest of his career with us, most of the rest of his career. And I mean, I think it's a smart move. It's just maybe on the field, off the field. I think he gives you so much that you kind of had to bring him back.
Yeah, and not to mention, Nick says right here, basically a 2-year deal with that guaranteed money. I mean, it's phenomenal. You get a 2 if for some reason he's not good and the 49ers like have a coaching change or something like that, or their system doesn't fit him anymore, or he's just not working out at fullback, he's being too expensive, you can just release him, find a new fullback. The Niners did that with Juszczyk. They got him. I bet they can do it with another guy. They usually, when Juszczyk's hurt, they've always been able to fill that fullback role. Obviously not as good as Juszczyk, but they've done a decent job, I'd say, at filling that role to the best of their ability. So, I mean, if it doesn't work out, as Nick says, 2-year deal, cut him. That simple. $10 million guaranteed, $27 million in total. I mean, I just love this deal. It's so good. Again, another A+ deal across the board for me. I get this is a deal I have zero complaints with. I mean, obviously you wish for everyone to be paid less money, but for Kyle Juszczyk at that price for the 49ers, phenomenal deal.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm high marks on that deal. I mean, you talked me up on it. I mean, I may have to give it an A+. I would definitely give it an A. I mean, I like most of the deals we've made, and with the, like you said, the frequency, the amount of guys we've signed maybe a little lower than expected, but I think they've been very quality deals, what we have given out.
Absolutely. And just one thing that I saw in the comments, Barry Baller, this comment, I underestimated Parag. You damn well did. Do not ever disrespect Parag, the God. Actually, scratch that. We're about to do that right now. Emmanuel Mosley. Let's talk about that deal for a little bit. I know this wasn't the tampering window, but this deal, in my opinion, is baffling. You're paying him almost as much as Jason Verrett, and he may not start on this team. That's my big concern with it. The fact that he may not start on this team. I want to give starting money to starting caliber players. I don't want to give $5 million to a backup. So I don't really know what the situation is with Mosley. It might be a bit too foggy to see what's going to happen in the future. My best guess is that K'Waun Williams is gone. They move Emmanuel Mosley to nickelback, and they get a new cornerback too, either in free agency or the draft. We'll talk about some of those options a bit later, so stay tuned for that. But my guess, that's my guess right now. But overall, by the way, let me start with this. Can Emmanuel Mosley start? Yes. Is that contract good enough for Emmanuel Mosley? It's a bit of an overpay, but I'm fine with it. He's been a good part to this team. But do you give that contract to any player if you don't know they're going to start, specifically a cornerback, when you have that money? No. In my opinion, it's just not the best deal, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I just don't like this deal too much. I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens with everything. So that's my thoughts on this. Joel, you want to say what you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you never want to pay starting caliber money for someone you're not confident will start. I'm with you. I think they're kind of banking on Williams being gone, and then they'll slide him into nickel. And I mean, it's not like he's been disappointing when he's seen the field. I mean, he is pretty solid in what he does. It's just, I think it's a little bit of an overpay. And I mean, it is sort of gratifying to know that we have the foundations of a secondary built up, because that was so murky going into the offseason. but
Mhm.
it's definitely a little bit of an overpay. Like you said, I'm not too upset with it. It's not a crazy overpay, but it's an overpay.
Not to mention all the Trent Williams comments coming up in this chat. We
Oh
know
boy,
we've all seen them here.
we've all seen
Still
them.
not locked up. And you paid this guy $5 million. I mean, yes, you're going to lose cap because of that. Obviously, you are. But yeah, I mean, I think locking up. I mean, I like how the 49ers are. Actually, I got to say, I like how the 49ers are approaching this offseason, even though Trent Williams has not re signed. Everyone said it's been an all hands on deck effort to get Trent Williams. However, on the side, they're making these small moves that are going to help the team. Just get this team. Don't focus all in on one player. I mean, that's the purpose of football and free agency. You can't just focus. I mean, that's the hard part, I should say. You can't just focus all on one player. You have to do your due diligence everywhere at all positions, get the guys you need, and then when it's time, you get the guy you want to sign. And we'll talk about Trent Williams later. Trust me, I know there's a lot of comments about that. Stay tuned. But yeah, the cap hit might not be the best. The cap hit might not be the best, especially if we cannot re-sign Trent Williams because of that, which I don't think is going to be the case. I know we have to be under the cap by tomorrow. So we may make another cut. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to see what happens. But Joel, give me your grade on this Emmanuel Mosley signing. Definitely going to be a bit lower than the other three we just talked about.
Definitely is going to be a bit lower. I may be a little higher on it than some just because I was so worried about our secondary. And Mosley is a pretty decent player. I give it like a C plus B minus. I mean, it's an overpay, and you're a little worried about that, especially because of this whole Trent Williams thing. But I don't think it's a terrible move.
Yeah, for me, if I was being realistic, I'd just give it a big, giant question mark because, I mean, I think there's a lot going on right now. If I had to go right now, I'd give it a C. I'll give it a B minus. I think Emmanuel Mosley can start on this team. I didn't predict him to start. I think we could go in the draft to start. But again, it goes to show, as I've been saying all along, that the 49ers do not value cornerback that much. They really want to just keep their guys, lock them up and everything. So, yeah, you good, Joel? Sorry, I can mute you if you're.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, so yeah, sorry, I thought someone was coming in to talk to you, but yeah, B minus for me. I think we have to wait and see how everything is going on in the future with this team and see what they do at cornerback. So, yeah, that's all I got for Emmanuel Mosley. You got anything else you want to say?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, a little bit of I wouldn't say maybe underwhelming, but, not a outstanding. I mean, it's underwhelming when you look at how many great moves we made, but not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a high-profile guy. I mean, you obviously want those high-profile guys. You can't get them at every position. I mean, Emmanuel Mosley, it's not that I don't like Emmanuel Mosley. It's that I don't like how we gave him a starting money contract when he might not be starting on this team. However, the next guy we're going to talk about kind of clears up why this contract seems a bit better than it has looked in the past. And that's Ahkello Witherspoon, who moved on today and signed with the Seattle Seahawks. And Joel, I want to hear what you have to say on this first, because I got some very interesting thoughts on this.
Yeah. How much money did he get again?
I did not write that down. Let me check really quickly. But yeah, you go ahead. I can bring it up as you talk.
I mean, the thing with Witherspoon is that he certainly is gifted enough to be a starting caliber corner. The problem with it is all mental. I mean, we've seen that he has struggled with confidence. We've seen that he'll give up big plays and then just, be effectively out of the game. And that's not a guy that you necessarily feel the most confident about. I was of the belief that we could try and salvage him, maybe sign him to a relatively cheapish deal and just keep him around. I mean, it's clear that the Seahawks gave him a pretty decent contract because he was gone pretty early into the tampering period. So overall, I'm not too worried about it. I think there's so many question marks with where his head is at. I think he certainly has the ability to be a real player, to be a good player. I mean, clearly we drafted him. I mean, what pick was he? What round did we pick him?
He was a third round pick, I believe, 67. Yeah, maybe I don't know.
I mean, we picked him in the third round. His physical gifts are there. He's 6'3" and he moves like a guy who's 5'11". I mean, he clearly has the makeup to be good, but we've just seen that it's not all there in his head. And so I'm not super worried about losing out on him. You never want to see someone go to the Seahawks because screw the Seahawks, but I'm not too worried about it. You see, you seem more worried about it.
I am. And before I do that, let me just give you the contract details for Kello Witherspoon. It is a 1 year, $4 million deal. So he would have been cheaper than Mosley. I don't know if he would have started on this team over Mosley because Kello Witherspoon's always so inconsistent. And that's, I think, the reason why people really did not really like Kello Witherspoon coming back. Here's why I'm a bit concerned why he left. Kello Witherspoon is a guy who has been on and off throughout his 49ers career. And he ended it on a very good note. Very good note. In my opinion, that was the best football he was playing on last year. And now you give, I mean, he left $1 million for 1 year, full $4 million, which I think is a good deal for him. Reasonable deal for him. Not an overpay, not an underpay. But I mean, Witherspoon came through a lot this year. At the beginning, he was in the Kyle Shanahan doghouse. I think he's the only player to get out of that doghouse, in my opinion. From what you've seen, he's the only player to get out of the doghouse. So he has that mentality to get, and that is a mentality that I love to see in players. And I mean, that's why I really liked Kello Witherspoon, especially towards the end of the year last year. But the reason I don't like him, obviously he's on and off, and now he's at a division opponent. If he's on and he's always on, kind of like how DJ Reid was last year with the Seahawks, it's going to cause a lot of trouble for this team. So I think the fact that he's going to a division opponent is definitely the most concerning part for me. If he was going anywhere else, I wouldn't be too concerned, but now he's going to the division opponent. He's going to know the ins and outs of this defense. I know Robert Saleh is no longer here, but D'Amico Ryans was here last year with Kello Witherspoon, so he's still going to know the basic ins and outs. He's going to know the offense as well. He went up against this offense during practice, so he's going to know how to cover guys like Deebo Samuel, like Brandon Ayuk a fair bit. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I think the thing with Witherspoon, I'm definitely more concerned about this than I was with DJ Reid. Personally, I underestimated DJ Reid. I thought he was just one of the worst football players. Not on my effing awful 5 list, but definitely one of the worst players I've seen in the 49ers uniform. Hot take by a lot of people, but I really just did not like DJ Reid. But Witherspoon, I think he's a guy who's always on and off about everything. So that's what I really got to say right now with Kello Witherspoon. Yeah, you got anything else to say on Kello Witherspoon?
Yeah, it sucks to see him go to a division, a divisional rival. I think that this could be a move like the DJ Reid move that comes back to bite us. I just think there's so many question marks with Witherspoon. Even though he did end last year on a high note, maybe he just ramped up his play because it was a contract year. You never know. And, I mean, you got to give him props. He did get his way out of the doghouse. I mean, in that Miami game, he was so deep in the doghouse, they brought up Brian Allen to play over playing Witherspoon at the start of the game. I mean, he was clearly pretty deep down in the rotation, pretty in, not in the good graces of the coaching staff. Got his way back up and played great. I mean, he clamped up Metcalf in that last game of the year. I mean,
yeah, that too. I mean, maybe they just saw Metcalf get clamped up by Kello Witherspoon. It's like, oh shit, if you can't beat him, join the KD. Yeah. I know I see KD in your background, Joel. You already know about that. But yeah, I mean, I'm a bit more pessimistic about this move. I think the fact that he signed with Seahawks is definitely concerning. You never want to see any of your guys do that, especially in my opinion right now, I think you're probably looking at right now, I think the Rams are going to win the division right now. I think the way the Seattle offseason has been going, I think that the 49ers could finish above them. I don't really know. I think there's a lot to wait. Right now, I think the Rams are the kind of the clear cut to win that division. Maybe the Cardinals too. No one's talking about the Cardinals yet. I know they just got J.J. Watt a few weeks ago. That could be very interesting to see. So, yeah, that's my thought. But again, losing a guy to a division opponent, always very rough. I know. Yeah, it sucks, man. And thank God we got Samson Ebukam. I know Rams fans are probably scared about that a little bit. Now you got a really good edge rusher on the other side of the ball, on the other team now. Could be a rough scene to see. So that's my thoughts on Kello Witherspoon. You got anything else you want to say?
No, just overall disappointing, but you seem more pessimistic on it than me.
For sure, definitely. All right, let's move on to Kendrick Bourne right now. And you start off on Kendrick Bourne again. So what you got to say about this?
Starting off, I like Kendrick Bourne a lot when he was with our team. I'm glad he got paid. I mean, he went from being undrafted to a guy who now, if he's smart with his money, could be set for pretty much the rest of his life. So very happy for him. It's an overpay. I mean, I think I thought there was a chance he could go to the Jets. I thought that he was probably going to be gone and that we felt confident on getting maybe a wide receiver 3 on a minimum, or converting, Richie James, a guy we have on the roster, to do that. So I was not surprised to see Bourne walk. I was surprised to see him get this big of a contract. I think he's probably worth like $5 million per year. He's getting paid $7 million. Interesting to see him go to the Patriots. I mean, he's the kind of receiver that they generally like. I mean, he's a good route runner. He goes up and makes tough catches. He not really a deep threat. He plays, more in the, midfield, slant, stuff like that. And when you got a guy who's not confident throwing the ball, or not that great at throwing the ball in Cam, that may play to his advantage. So I think it's a good landing spot for him. I'm glad he got paid. Am I that upset to see him walk? A little from the fans' perspective of just seeing him out there, but in terms of being a GM, I am not too disappointed.
Yeah, I got to say, Kendrick Bourne, I mean, I'm not sweating this move too much. No. The Patriots overpaid. Let's just get that out of the way. That is one of the biggest overpays I've seen this offseason. And the Patriots did that to Aguilar. They did that to Kendrick Bourne. And don't get me wrong, Kendrick Bourne, obviously a fantastic receiver. I know I like him a lot. Ty, I saw him in the chat earlier. He loves Kendrick Bourne. Shout out to Ty, my guy, the new Patriots fan. But Kendrick Bourne, I mean, $7.25 million a year. I think that's what it was. That's ridiculous in my opinion. He should be paid far less than that or it was even more than that, I think.
It's more than that? Oh God.
I don't know. I think it's like 3 years. It's like 3 years, $22.5 million. So that's more than 7.25. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not that good at math. So yeah, I think it's like 7.5, but overpaid. I'm glad we did not get him. We are not paying that much money. I think you are going to miss some presence for him, though. You are going to miss that locker room presence. He brought fantastic locker room presence to this team. I think that really helped this culture a lot. It was not like a serious. He brought two types of presence. He brought the serious Kendrick Bourne, which is work your ass off, get on the field from an undrafted free agent to a pretty serviceable receiver. And you also got that fun presence where you got dancing in the end zone, all of that, bopping the music, everything. I mean, I think that's a fantastic locker room presence for him. I think it's really great to see Kendrick Bourne get paid that much, even though I don't like that for the 49ers. I think it's fantastic that he got paid that much. So, yeah, I mean, thank you, KB, for everything you've done here. It's that simple. But it's time to move on, I guess. Joe, I got a question for you. Do you think we're going to need to find a new wide receiver 3, or you think we're good with Richie James?
See, I'm fine either way. I think I feel confident enough in Richie James, the wide receiver 3. But if the front office maybe doesn't, I would not be upset if we brought in a new, because you saw there was a rumor of maybe getting a receiver. I don't know how big of a splash we would make to get a wide receiver 3, but I'm fine with whatever we do. But overall, I'm pretty confident where our wide receiver room right now, I'm feeling pretty confident in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident in our wide receiver room. We're going to talk about some wide receivers later that I really like for this team. So, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that later, but I personally, I think I'm fine with Richie James at wide receiver 3. I'm also very much open to getting another wide receiver in free agency, and we'll talk about that later. There's a few guys, I've tweeted about them a little bit. One guy I didn't tweet about, kind of with that report that Joel was talking about. We'll get to that in a little bit. So that's what I got to say. All right, last guy that we made a move on is Marquise Goodwin. I'm going to keep this really short. I mean, this is just stupid. What the hell? We're giving up a 7th for no reason.
No reason.
He's not gonna make this roster. He might, I mean, in my opinion, just keep it for the 90. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because he made a move with our team. He's back. That's all I really gotta say. But overall, this is just stupid rule in the NFL. I don't know if you got anything else to say about that.
It's dumb. I mean, it's kind of lame that we have to forfeit a pick for this. I don't really care that much. It's more of just like a, what the hell? Like, I texted you about it earlier and you're like, wait, what? You're like,
yeah, I had no clue because Schefter, Rappaport, NFL Update didn't tweet it out at that. Those are the 3 I got notifications. It was Field Yates. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, my thing with it's just a stupid rule. Yeah, as John V says right here, just trash. It's that simple. As long as that guy does, whoever the Eagles draft for that pick, as long as they don't turn out to be a superstar, it's not going to be an end of the day deal. At the end of the day, it's not that bad. But if this guy becomes a superstar, oh boy, am I going to be pissed.
Yep.
That could have been our guy.
Yeah, if they find the George Kittle equivalent of a 7th-round pick, or like he was a 5th-round pick, but obviously
The Tom Brady equivalent is a better.
The Tom Brady equivalent. Yeah, there you go. Like a late round, just
gem,
all pro bowler kind of guy. I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, but yeah, I mean he's not really doing anything. I don't think we actually lost any cap in this though. I want to point that out. We did not lose the Eagles. It cuts the Eagles $4.2 million in cap. But I saw a report earlier today that this doesn't do anything cap-wise for us, which is good. If it did do anything cap-wise for us, we would have capped it. So, yeah. I mean, it doesn't make sense how we got penalized for Marquise Goodwin opting out. Usually you don't get that was something that wasn't – it's a weird thing. I've never seen that happen before. Just a stupid thing. And I guarantee the NFL is going to have some rule change on it. I don't know. But that because I don't think anyone expected that to come.
Yeah.
To happen. So – yeah, that's my thoughts on that, but nothing really to talk about. So yeah. All right, let's talk about that's everything we've done so far. So let's talk about what's next for the 49ers. Where are the next moves? And we saw all the Trent Williams comments in here. So I'm not going to say much about this. We just have to get him signed. If he signs with the Kansas City Chiefs, he's going to be my least favorite player of all time. Yeah, I mean, we have to get Trent Williams. Actually, here's the interesting question. There's been a lot of people who are saying, let Trent Williams walk and sign a center instead because they think this team values center a bit more. And maybe we get a cheaper but good option at left tackle like Alejandro Villanueva. Would you be down for that, Joel?
I know. I would prefer bringing back Williams. I mean, it's so it would be looked at so badly if we traded for him, a future Hall of Famer, a Hall of Fame caliber left tackle, and just let him walk after 1 year. And I'm confident in Ben Garland. I think we could start Ben Garland and bring back Trent Williams.
Thank you. I'm the only person that said that, and now you say that. So Joel and I finally I got another person on the Garland train. Success.
I mean, sure, like on paper, would it be nice to bring in Rodney Hudson? He just got waived today, or Alex Mack, Cal guy. Sure. And then you bring in Villanueva, who's, a very good replacement. But, I mean, we just traded for Williams. I mean, how stupid would it look in hindsight to just do that? And, I mean, granted, it was a washed season, but still, a 1 year of him, I think. I think you need left tackle is so important. I think we have to bring back Williams. I think it would be such a blemish on this front office if he did.
Yeah, I mean, John's not on that train. I'm not on that train. I think you got to bring back Trent Williams. And I'm on the Garland train. Again, I do think Garland can be a starting caliber center. The injuries are a concern. Yes, I mean, he's not the best center. There are better options available. But when it comes to a money game, I think you have to get Trent Williams first. That is your first priority. Garland can start at center. Let's be real. He can start at center. You're going to have to find a backup, though. I think one good backup, another former Niner, Daniel Kilgore. That could be a guy to bring in. He was on the Chiefs last year. He was with us for a very long time. Yeah, I believe he was on that Super Bowl team in 2012. So, I mean, it would be fun to bring him back, get another veteran in there. He would be the backup to Garland probably. And he, by the way, solid backup too. I will take Daniel Kilgore as a solid backup center. You mentioned Rodney Hudson. I want to talk about that really quickly. I mean, okay, first of all, can we just talk about what the hell are the Raiders doing? That is quite possibly the most questioning move. That is the most questionable move I've seen this offseason. I mean, I don't get it. You lose money. You lose arguably the best center in football. You don't get him for a replacement. My only concern with that, it's just red flag after red flag after red flag with that move. I don't know if it's worth signing him at this point. And that could be a hot take, but I think I am not expecting Rodney Hudson to sign right away. I think you're going to have to wait. I think there's something that the Raiders know that no one else knows. If he asked for his release, is that I did not hear that yet.
I didn't know that.
I did not hear that at all. But if that is true, Deshaun Watson has tweeted something out.
Oh, damn.
Hold up. As a result of my social media post by a public, I just saw this in a retweet. I just want to read this real quickly. These were the allegations. Hold up. Someone commented about the allegations. I had no idea what they were talking about. Where is this? Yeah. So as a result of a social media post by a publicity-seeking plaintiff's lawyer, I recently became aware of a lawsuit that has apparently been filed against me. I have not yet seen the complaint, but I know this. I have never treated any woman with anything other than the utmost respect. The plaintiff's lawyer claims this isn't about money, but before filing the suit, he made a basic six-figure settlement demand, which I quickly rejected. Unlike him, this isn't about money for me. It's about clearing my name, and I'm looking forward to do that. I mean, not a big deal, in my opinion. If it's true, then it's a massive deal. I don't want to undermine that. But if it's not true, then it's stupid. I don't want to undermine that, but no, I just want to bring that up. I saw that earlier. I was kind of confused. So, yeah, that's really all I want to say real quick. I mean, nothing, guys, I don't know what the allegation is. I'm not undermining that. I just wanted to get it out there, say that if it's false, it's no big deal. If it's true, massive deal, not only for not only for the Texans, but for the NFL in general. So, yeah, I don't really know what that is, but, yeah, I don't really have any more thoughts on that unless you want to say some.
No, I do have something to say about Deshaun Watson. I want him on my team. That's what I want to say about Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. I mean, you want to talk about so before we talk about quarterback, the other two centers, I would take Alex Mack, David Andrews to start. Those are two very startable centers. David Andrews testing free agency, so want to say right there. But let's talk about the quarterback situation. And I mean, we've been talking about I think we talk about this like every stream, honestly.
Yeah.
It's all about the quarterback, man. Quarterback chaos going on. I gotta say though, all the bridge quarterbacks I think I was talking about are gone. I think you got Darnold, you got Bridgewater, you got Trubisky, and I mean maybe Garoppolo. If you want to call that bridge quarterback, I don't really know, but
would you call Alex Smith a bridge quarterback?
Alex Smith, that's the other one I was missing. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I gotta say though, I think Trubisky to the Niners could happen soon. I think they need a lockup. In my opinion, I think that the 49ers need to cut Jimmy Garoppolo sooner than later just to clear up the cap. You can do a lot more with that. And then after that, maybe you get a guy like, I think Mitch Trubisky, out of all the guys you can sign, is the best option as a backup quarterback. I do not want Mitch Trubisky starting, which could be a hot take considering this is the guy who's saying Sam Darnold should be the starting quarterback for this team. But Mitch Trubisky, I mean, he's proven year in year.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. You go.
Well, I was just saying he's proven year in year out that he's not that good of a quarterback. Darnold, the only reason I think he has a chance, he's been held back by coaching, and that's not the only reason he's not been good. But his sophomore season with Adam Gase was still pretty good. So I definitely think there's a chance with Darnold. As for Trubisky, though, I think he's a backup quarterback in this league. We've already seen it so far. So I would not mind signing him to a pretty cheap deal. That's the backup position. As for the starting position, I think it's going to be Watson or the draft. Yeah, that's really all I got to say. I know I've been a bit lower on Watson than everyone else because there's some pieces I don't want to give up. But Watson, I mean, that name has been kind of quiet until today, until that Mike Lombardi report. Yep. So we'll have to see what happens. Last time he reported about the Niners was before the draft. He said there were some guys on the trade block. Those guys did turn out to be true, at least two of them, Quan Alexander and Marquise Goodwin. So, yeah, that's what I got to say right there about the backup quarterback situation. You got anything about that or Deshaun Watson or who you think the starter is going to be?
Just an unfortunate reality I've kind of been realizing over the last 24 hours in that if we're like you said, it's either going to be Watson in the draft, hopefully for our starting quarterback. If we trade for Watson, we'd probably be giving up our number 12 pick. And if we go in quarterback, we'd probably pick, Fields or maybe trade up for Lance or try and get Fields at 12, which means that my draft crush, Rashawn Slater, is probably not going to be on this team, which is disappointing because I would love for him to be in Mike McGlinchey's spot. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think that ideally for the starting quarterback, it's either draft a guy or get Watson.
Yeah, okay. I'm just looking at this Deshaun Watson, the allegation. I haven't read the whole thing, but it's on someone's personal IG. It just seems like they're just kind of defaming him right there. And he's like, oh, I'm a Marine. I'm strong. I have it all covered. You're not going to intimidate me. It just seems like that's not
weird.
It's just weird. What about Josh Johnson for you? I think personally, I don't think he's going to be the backup. I think Josh Rosen would probably have a better shot at being a backup or third string. I think Josh Johnson will get cut probably. He hasn't been in the league in a while. I mean, 2018, he played those few games with Washington, did decent. But he wasn't on a team until 2020, I believe, or he might have been on practice squads. I never really saw him on a team. I don't really have faith in him. I don't know about you, Joel, if that's the same with you.
Yeah, I think Rosen is likely to be a QB3. I think Johnson probably gets cut.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. So that's the quarterback situation right there. All right, wide receiver. We talked a little bit about Kendrick Bourne earlier. Are we going to replace Kendrick Bourne? Are we going to keep with Richie James? You saw that rumor earlier about wide receiver being linked to the next quarterback. Joel, who do you think that wide receiver is? I kind of want to get a sense of where you're at right now.
Hopefully, it's the guy who royally screwed me in fantasy, but I hope fucking Will Fuller and his PEDs. Still, if that is the one, I mean, obviously, relation to our next quarterback, Houston Texans with Deshaun Watson, but yeah, that's kind of what rang a bell. I mean, was the term connection to next quarterback, or was it a one that just hadn't been on the
let me pull up the tweet really quickly. It said there's a rumor, they spelled rumor. There is rumored that a wide receiver is about to be signed by the 49ers that is not be linked to us, but will have a huge impact on who the 49ers quarterback will be next season.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, if you want to read the fine print in that, and if you don't want to read the fine print, if you want to go super explicit, you'd think, Will Fuller. But as terms of whose game it is, we don't know the quarterback yet. Maybe it's Curtis Samuel. Maybe it's, as much as I don't want this, maybe it's Juju. Maybe it's some other receiver. Is there any chance in hell we'd be able to sign Golladay? I don't think so.
No way. He would have to take the biggest pay cut of all time.
I just thought free agent receivers. There you go. I haven't studied the class that deeply, but there you go. Curtis Samuel, kind of like Deebo Samuel. They line him up in the backfield a lot. He's really physical. He's not Deebo, but physical, tough guy. I like him a lot. Will Fuller, obviously, kind of lanky speedster. He was breaking out last year for his PED scandal. And, yeah.
Guys, for context, real quick, I know we were talking about Joel's fantasy team. Joel had the most unlucky fantasy team I think I've ever seen. It was ridiculous. Should I bring up the deal I made with you?
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm not.
No, but all the injuries and the PED scandal, and I think someone got COVID at some point. I don't care, but it was so bad.
it was sad. But yeah, man, I think looking at that wide receiver report, there's one guy no one's really talked about. I said I would keep it private for now, just wait until it actually happens. But I'll give you guys exclusive access to the few viewers on here right now. Sammy Watkins.
Okay.
I think he's a guy that has been linked. He went to Clemson. Deshaun Watson went to Clemson. That a sign?
Yeah.
I don't know. With the Deshaun Watson rumor and that wide receiver rumor coming out earlier today, it just seems like it might be linked to Deshaun Watson. Curtis Samuel, Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't think it's them. Reason being, they have been linked to the 49ers. I know people want Curtis Samuel badly. I think he's going to be a bit too expensive. The wide receiver market has definitely been kind of crazy this year. Overpays, underpays, and it's just been a bad wide receiver market for really everyone involved. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone. So I don't think it's Curtis Samuel. Juju, on the other hand, he had been linked to us yesterday. I think there were some rumors about him. Could take a pay cut, and then you get Sam Darnold. There's a link right there between a quarterback and a guy. But yeah, at this point, I don't really know who it is. Ideally, the guy I really want who doesn't have anything to do with this rumor, maybe. Actually, he might. No, not AJ Green. He might have something to do with this rumor. Keelan Cole of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm talking about Gardner Minshew, but I don't think we're going to get Minshew. I tweeted that out because of a troll. But yeah, that was just troll. I don't really want Gardner Minshew. But Keelan Cole. He's a guy who can do punt returning, kick returning. That is something we need for this team. Yeah. He was a very good wide receiver 3 last season, very underrated. He had a very good season. Last year was his best season in the NFL. Overall, he's a fantastic player, very versatile. I think Keelan Cole, right now, out of all the receivers I want to sign for this team, it would be Keelan Cole. I think that's the guy right there. Keelan Cole for this 49ers team. I think it would be a fantastic fit. AJ Green is another guy I threw out there. I think the only reason I want him, veteran leadership, has been good in the past and could be cheap. So that's what I'm thinking with AJ Green. If you got anything else. Oh, here's some news. The Lions are going to sign Packers running back Jamal Williams. 2 years, $7.5 million. Interesting move right there.
Interesting.
I got to say.
they're paying that much for Swift's backup.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, that it's an interesting move. I mean, to be fair, Jamal Williams was decent with Green Bay.
He was. Oh, does that mean they're letting Peterson walk?
Yeah, Peterson was on a 1-year deal. So all these notifications coming in that you may or might not hear, are about Jamal Williams. So it's worth up to $7.5 million. Overall, I mean, we're not here this isn't Lion Wire, this isn't the Lion Cage or whatever you want to call it. But overall, I think it's an okay deal. You could have gone cheaper. I don't really know. But yeah, back to wide receiver, and then we'll get to running back. So
I have one for running backs, but let's stick with wide receiver for now.
Hey, Nate, Julian bailed. I hate to break that news to you, but all right. That was kind of annoying, but okay. Yeah, I apologize, Nate. By the way, guys, Nate and I will be on tomorrow at 7:30. We're gonna break down the NFL free agency as a whole, so make sure to check that out. We'll be live 7:30 tomorrow night. Should be really fun. So check that out. NFL as a whole. I always like doing those streams. This one's the Niners one. NFL as a whole for that. So yeah, for sure. But
Nate's Bills just got Sanders. He must be.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders. That's a good move. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I really like that move a lot. Sneak peek. So yeah. Okay, Joel, what did you say about wide receiver? You had something you want to talk about that?
Oh, just a quote. I had one thing. I was saying I had something for running backs, but also one thing for receiver. Do you think that Jalen Hurd? What is your feeling about Jalen Hurd going into next season? Because I don't know how much you could tell. I was very upset when he got hurt. I was so looking forward to him playing. What are your thoughts on Hurd going into next year?
My thoughts with Hurd. I think he's going to stay on this team. He's on a rookie contract. The Kyle Shanahan used a 3rd-round pick on him and reached on him, by the way. So that's another thing you got to talk about. Reached on Jalen Hurd. Used a 3rd-round pick on him. I definitely think he has a lot up his sleeve that Kyle Shanahan wants to do with him. So I think it's worth keeping on this team. However, you should look for a replacement. In my opinion, I think one guy, I've talked about this guy so much, Demetric Felton out of UCLA. He probably can't do that tight end role. He's not as big as Jalen Hurd, obviously, but he played running back in college and he's expected to make the transition to wide receiver in the NFL. So I think that's a really good piece. I'm blanking on this guy. There was another guy who I was thinking of, Jalen Hurd replacement at the NFL level, who's a free agent right now. I keep forgetting. Oh, no, sorry. He's not a free agent. It was Mike Williams of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Mike Williams, he's a big guy.
Yeah, big guy. I don't think that's going to happen, but Jalen Hurd getting a replacement like Demetric Felton, I think that would be really good. So yeah, for sure. I think Jamal Agnew signed somewhere. Am I right about that? I'm pretty sure Jamal Agnew signed somewhere, so I don't think we're going to get him. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he signed somewhere else. If I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments. But yeah, we definitely need, as Nate says right here, wide receiver, running back. I mean, kick returner. Kick returner is really the big thing. Demetric Felton can do that as well. That's why I also brought up Keelan Cole, because he can do that as well. So yeah, special team. I mean, a lot of people have been undermining special teams as free agency. It's damn important because the special team was terrible last year.
Awful. Bad. Very
God. Awful. So yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on. You want to talk about running back, did you? Or did you want to talk about wide receiver?
One last thing. I really like the Keelan Cole thing, just because most explicitly, as far as need, I like him as a returner, but as a wide receiver throw, I think he would definitely be better and more proven than Richie James. So if we could pull that off, I would like it.
Yeah, for sure. Keelan Cole, definitely a guy I really like for this team. So yeah. All right. Running back, you want to say something of that? What you got?
Yeah, this is not everyone's talked about this move, and just because I think it sort of re-influences what we lost with Bourne, I think Frank Gore would be smart to bring on a veteran minimum. The main reason, not even just such a veteran leadership role, a guy that's going to keep people in line, that's going to be, sort of an additional maybe leg on the coaching staff. It's just, former Niner, I think it's just such a win. I mean, you're not really committing any money to him. Obviously, he's not the best player anymore. I talked to Nate about it. Nate says he's bad. I still think that he could have some success at times. I mean, he's not going to be a workhorse back. Obviously, we split our carries between backs. But I just think in terms of being a leader in this locker room, where we just lost kind of a, presence in the locker room in Kendrick Bourne, I think it's a good move. I think it's something we should do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm with you on that. I definitely think it would be a great piece to bring in. I think the thing with running back, in my opinion, it's really not. I mean, it's not that big of a need. I really think you can bring in a lot of guys. Could you undrafted free agency? I think personally we're set at running back. I think you got a good piece in Jeff Wilson. You got Raheem Mostert, who can contribute on special teams as well, which I think we deeply missed last year.
You got JaMychal Hasty, who you and
my guy JaMychal Hasty. And then you got Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon. Those guys are moving on. So you could bring in a guy like Matt Breida.
That's true.
Yeah, Matt Breida is another guy you could bring in. And then I think you just go undrafted free agent to get your last guy. Or just go round 6, round 7. I know there's a lot of guys. Yeah, Jaron also. I do think Matt Breida is a great fit for this team. I know we gave him up last year. I think bringing him back, he did not perform well in Miami. I definitely think bringing him back to be the RB3 would be a great move for this team. He did really well in San Francisco. I think he can thrive again here. And I mean, as I keep saying, Shanahan can work with any running back he wants. I still believe it. I'm going to keep saying that. I definitely think I think bringing him back would be a great deal for us. Cheap deal, bringing a guy who knows the system really well, knows the locker room really well. I think it would really work out for us. So I'm definitely with you, Jaron, on that, bringing back Matt Breida. Yeah, and then undrafted free agent, round 6, round 7, something like that. That's what I'm thinking. But we're here to talk about free agency. I think Matt Breida is probably the most reasonable option for running back, unless there's another guy they want to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Breida had success with us. I mean, he was bad in Miami last year. I mean, he would probably be quite cheap. I'd be cool with that. I think he'd fit in well as a RB3.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last offensive piece I want to talk about for free agency, tight end. I definitely think we need that tight end 2 option. I know a lot of people saying we're set with Ross Dwelly and Charlie Warner. I think Ross Dwelly is better set as a tight end 3. I like his role last year. I liked his roles in previous years. So I would probably bring in another guy to replace Jordan Reid. The one guy I'm really targeting, Gerald Everett of Los Angeles Rams. Again, guy that would know opposing team system in our division. He's a receiving tight end. In my opinion, I always thought he was better than Higbee. I didn't get why Higbee was the tight end 1. But yeah, Gerald Everett, I think, is a guy who would fit really well in this system, get those receptions. I really like the way he plays, and I think he would be a good tight end 2 behind Kittle. So I'm just going to bring it up really quickly. If you have any other guys you want to talk about real quick.
I was against it, but I don't know where the rumor was from. Maybe it was just something Grant Cohn brought up. He said Jared Cook. I was a no on it. Do you have any thoughts on Jared? I mean, if it's for like a minimum, yeah. I mean, Cook can play. He's just had injuries and he's inconsistent.
Hold on. Is this true? Trubisky signed with Pittsburgh?
Oh no.
I just want to see. I have not seen that yet.
Trubisky.
I do not see that. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if that's anything, or is that just a rumor? I don't know. If it is what it is, I think. Well, they got Dwayne Haskins too, so
I'm not seeing anything about Trubisky.
I'm not seeing it right now. I don't know where you got that, but yeah, he didn't mean it. It's all good. No worries about that. Yeah, sorry. I thought. Or did he mean to Kyle? I don't know. It's all good. It might meant to like Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
I'm an idiot. I get that now. Sorry, that's on us. That's on me. I thought Pitt stand for Pittsburgh. I know we're talking about free agency over here. Got confused by that. It's all good, man. So yeah. All right, yeah, but I honestly really I think there's a lot. Nate's putting a lot of guys in the chat right now. Zach Ertz, I think he's probably a bit too expensive. Same with Robert Tonyan. I'm not willing to give up a second rounder for him. Tyler Eifert. I mean, he's kind of washed at this point. I would rather go after. Yeah. I would rather go after Gerald Everett, in my opinion. I know Nate wants Gerald Everett, so you're not. Hopefully, we snatch him from the Buffalo Bills. How about your guy, Joel? Evan Engram.
No.
Joel, guys, Joel has the biggest man crush on Evan Engram. It's kind of crazy.
I hate
yeah.
No. Oh God.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, Gerald Everett's probably one of the really only guys I really want to see out there be that tight end 2. We could go draft, but we're here to talk about free agency. So Gerald Everett, if you want to.
I mentioned it. Were you a no on Jared Cook?
Oh, Jared Cook. Sorry, I forgot about that. I wouldn't be opposed to it, actually. Depends on it's a money game. Again, I know on the stream on Sunday, guys, go check that out, by the way. Me, Rohit, Joseph were on that. We all kept talking about money game. It's all about the money. It's all about the money, about who you pay, about where you go with this team. It's really all about the money. So, I mean, Jared Cook, if he's cheap, I think you go and get him. I think he's definitely a serviceable tight end 2. Probably looking for tight end 1 money though. I know that's the reason I don't think we're gonna probably get him. Maybe he probably seems like signs with a team like the Tennessee Titans, where I believe he started out his career. And they just lost Jonnu Smith, so that would be a good fit for them right there. But yeah, I'm thinking Jared. I mean, if he wants to sign with us for a cheap deal, I'm all open to it. So yeah, that's my thought. I kind of disagree with you on that, Joel, depending on how it is.
Okay. Yeah, I disagreed solely mostly because of money. I mean, it's like if it was anything more than a low ball contract, I would just be sort of scared out of it. But if he was willing to sign for cheap, I'd be into it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. All right, let's move on to the defensive side. The 2 positions. Oh, first of all, is there any position that you want to bring up, Joel? Because I've really just kind of wrote all my notes for this, and I have like 5 positions in mind.
Here's one, because just cap casualties of the new thing. Do you think we could get a guard for maybe a little cheaper than normal? Because I saw a thing that listed out some, because obviously I don't know our right side protection I'm so worried about. I mean, if you could go out and get a cheap right guard, off the waivers, would you put a high priority on that?
No, and here's why. We have Daniel Brunskill. We have Aaron Donald's daddy on the team. I'm fine. I'm fine with Brunskill starting at guard. I know I've been talking about an upgrade because I think Rashawn Slater would be a phenomenal fit to this team, but I'm fine with Daniel Brunskill at guard if that is the case. I do think the right center, right guard, and right tackle, I think you need an upgrade there. So that's what I've been kind of praising all along. You keep Garland, and then you draft Slater, and maybe you can't draft Slater if you're going to trade up. So it's questionable. So I mean, my short answer is it depends on what we do at center. Okay. If we want to keep Garland, which I don't think we're going to do it, unfortunately for us, because we're the only ones on the Garland train. Yeah. But I think we're going to stick with Brunskill at right guard. The team really seems to like him. And he's Aaron Donald's father. Donald's father. That's a tongue twister. I don't know. But yeah. But that's really all I gotta say about right guard. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, nothing else.
Perfect. All right. Let's move on to the defense. Defense right here. I was going to talk about cornerback and safety. Do you want to talk about linebacker and edge or defensive line if you have anything about that?
I think linebacker is the most set position in our team now, especially after Ikubum signing. I mean, we have 4 linebackers now. Like, we're set on linebackers. I think the only
Ibukam's going to be the edge. I think we're set with Al-Shaair as the starting linebacker.
No. I know. It's just, let's just say Al-Shaair misses some time. Could you maybe plug him in to be more of a left outside in a rushing linebacker set?
Possibly. I think you're gonna have to wait till that plays out, because I know I tweeted about that yesterday. It could be a bit of a reach. What I do think the 49ers should get at linebacker is competition for Azeez Al-Shaair. Doesn't have to be better. Can be at the same talent. You can have one guy back up, maybe a guy who's really good on special teams. I think that's where you're probably looking at right there. So a guy who can help on special teams can compete with Azeez Al-Shaair. So that's what I'm thinking. Nate, the only reason we brought up Sammy Watkins, by the way, I just want to bring this up real quick. By the way, I'm going to backtrack back to wide receiver. I do not want Sammy Watkins. No. The only reason I brought him up is because of that rumor with the it was because of the thing with the Deshaun Watson connection. I do not want Sammy Watkins on this team. I don't think he's a good receiver at all. But that comment is coming from someone who bought a Sammy Watkins jersey before. So yeah. For sure. All right, let's move on to cornerback. We lost Kel Witherspoon. We re-signed Emmanuel Mosley. What do you think was going to happen to K'Waun Williams? What do you think you're going to do with that?
Honestly, I would not be surprised if No, I think we're going to let him walk. I think we're going to try and start Mosley in our nickel, and I think we're going to draft a cornerback. That's what I think we're going to do. That's what I hope we do, because with the money we're paying Mosley, it would be foolish to have paid him that much if you're not expecting him to start. And I don't know, maybe. And do you think he can be a cornerback too?
I do. I mean, there's a reason they paid him that much. I said that earlier. I do think Emmanuel Mosley could be a cornerback too. So I was just reading one comment on my phone from Ted H, who's commenting on this video. Another guy who can fill in that linebacker is Marcel Harris. A lot of people forgot about. That's another guy. I think he's under contract, so we can move him. We'll talk about him in a bit. I just want to bring that up really quickly. But yeah, I do think Emmanuel Mosley can be a cornerback too on this team. I do think he can move to nickelback probably. So I think I'm fine with Mosley at nickelback. My ideal situation is keep Emmanuel Mosley at cornerback. Sign if K1 leaves, then sign Troy Hill from Los Angeles Rams. That's the guy who I've been all eyes on for a while. Another Rams guy.
Yeah,
I just want to take their entire team at this point, man. But he's a guy who can play slot cornerback. I really like the way he plays. He led the league in pick sixes last year with only 2. I think he was the only player with 2 pick sixes, which was kind of surprising last year. But yeah, Troy Hill is a guy that I really like. I would really love to see him on this team if Kalen Williams leaves. But again, I'm not opposed to having Emmanuel Mosley play slot. And then I would probably draft a guy, or you could draft a guy or sign a guy for that cornerback too. One option I really like, Brian Poole from the New York Jets, could be an option to play that cornerback too. That seems a bit more reasonable. If you want to go to a bit of a reach, maybe hope this guy takes a pay cut. AJ Boye. I think that would be a great fit for this team. He would have to take a pay cut probably, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking with right now with AJ Boye. So yeah.
I think regardless of who you start next year at corners, I think drafting a corner is smart to groom to be your cornerback 1, assuming Verrett is gone next year.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think you're probably the 2 guys I really want that I think you can get in the draft. I don't think we're going to go cornerback round 1, so I'm going to look at the later rounds. If Fadu Melifonwu out of Syracuse, that is a guy I really like, a physical guy who I think is probably going to go a bit higher than this next guy who I love, Israel Mukuamu, JC Horn's teammate at USC, South Carolina. I love this guy. Physical, tall. I think he fits what the Niners need. I think he would be a fantastic Ahkello Witherspoon replacement, in my opinion. I think it just works out really well, in my opinion. So, yeah, Coleman from Detroit, another good guy, slot cornerback. I don't know too much about him. I have to look at him a little bit more, but I've definitely heard his name thrown around. Definitely another good slot cornerback option, in my opinion. But yeah, I think most of the free agent stuff at cornerback is going to have to do with who plays slot and who plays cornerback 2. And we still got to sign those depth pieces. We only have 2 cornerbacks under contract, I believe, or 3 with Tim Harris, actually. But yeah, you have to get some depth pieces. So there's going to be some small signings here and there, sometime before the draft. The tampering window is now over, so I think we're actually going to get a lot more action with everything. I think you're probably going to get a lot of guys. They're going to be talking to teams now, so I think you're going to get a lot more action with the small guys going other places. So I think you're really looking for everything. Looking forward to everything with the cornerbacks. So yeah, you got anything else on that? Or go ahead. Sorry.
Only other question when you talk about secondary at all. I mean, are you with me? Do you think Tart's gone?
Let's talk about that right now. Let's move on to safety. Jaquiski Tart. You know, I have no clue what the situation with Jaquiski Tart is. Jaquiski Tart. No one's heard anything about that. Yeah, no one's heard anything about that. I haven't seen anything about that Gilmore comment. If you guys want to see that, I have no clue if that's true or not. If I'm sorry, I got confused on the Pittsburgh one with Kyle Pitts. I just want to move past that. I'm not going to waste time. If that's true, shout out to you, Josh. If it's not, don't be a troll. That's not nice. So yeah, Joel, if you want to look that up while I talk, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on a Gilmore trade.
Josh, you have disappointed me. I am disappointed in you. You have received Joel's disapproval too. That is something you never want. Do not disapprove. You don't want Joel's disapproval in life. I'm just telling you that right now. Okay, but Jaquiski Tart, is he coming back? I mean, I don't know. I think it's either going to be Tart or a free agent. I don't think you're replacing him in the draft. It's a very weak it's a very weak draft class right there. Okay. So speaking of trades, the Rams are nearing a deal that's going to send Michael Brockers to the Lions. Michael Brockers, another key piece of that defensive line for the Rams, getting another guy out of the division. That's something I just want to bring up real quick. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Joel.
Yeah, suck it, Rams.
Exactly. So no Ebukam, no Brockers. That's actually pretty big for them now that I think about it, really. So that could be a very good thing. But Tart, let's talk about I think it's either Tart or a free agent, as I just said. Very weak safety class in the draft. I mentioned 4 guys I want to bring up real quick that could replace Tart. Malik Cooker, the one thing I don't like about him, he doesn't really do anything special. He's really just a solid guy that you just fit in there. I think he's a decent option. We were linked to him last year. We could be linked to him again this year, so that's a good option. Trey Boston of the Carolina Panthers, a guy I've really liked in the past few years. I think he would be very good right there. Here, Josh, send me the link on Twitter. DM me the link. My Twitter's on the top right corner at 9hourSam. DM me the tweet if that's true, because I want to see that. And I'll bring it up if that's true. So, yeah. And then you got Kenny Vaccaro was just cut from the Titans. I think that would be a solid fit. He's a guy who's played strong safety for a while, been a veteran in this league. I really like that. And then Bradley Mcdougall of the New York Jets was a former Seahawk, knows the Seahawks system. And I also think with Jimmy Ward, I believe Jimmy Ward can really play either strong safety or full safety. So you have a lot of flexibility there. So you can really sign a free safety or a strong safety if you really want to, depending on where you go. So that's my thoughts on safety. What you got, Joel?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think considering all the other needs we have and the weakness of class, I think if you feel confident that Tart can stay healthy, you re-sign him. Hopefully, you don't have to overpay on him too much, or you go after one of those guys. Malik Cooker and Trey Boston were the two that stood out to me the most because, Trey Boston's just proven, and like you said, I think there were rumors of us being tied to Hooker last year.
Yeah, Trey Boss, that's a guy who I think we've always seen rumors about him. I think we got cut last year. Or 2 years ago, maybe. I really wanted him on this team. We ended up not getting him, but that's always a guy who I think would be a great fit for this team. Seems like we avoid signing him. I know we don't value secondary that much, so we could go for an even cheaper option. Malik Cooker, I think, could be the cheapest out of all four of those options. So I think that would be a good fit. Kenny Vaccaro might be cheap. He didn't really have that good of a season last year, so I don't know. But either way, Tart or not, I think we're going to have a decent secondary with at safety with Jimmy Ward and whoever else.
Yeah, I feel confident enough in Ward.
Do you think Tarvarius Moore could start or no?
No, I think he's a good backup. I think he's a very good backup, but I don't think
I'm with you on that. I think the team really wanted Tarvarius Moore to develop into a really good free safety. I don't think that's the case. I think he's best suited for a backup, a guy who can play on special teams as well. Valuable piece of this team. Don't get me wrong, but
important. Yeah, value, but I don't think
exactly. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Valuable piece of this team. I don't think it works out for starting, but that's my thoughts on safety. Do you have anything else you want to talk about any of the signings, any of the positions any other position you want to bring up?
Oh man, so we touched on D-line. Who's is there any edge rusher, any somewhat cheap edge rusher that you think? Because Hyder's probably going to get a bigger payday.
Hyder's gone, I think. I don't know. It's going to be some guy you've never heard of. And there's going to be here's the thing. It's going to be some guy you've never heard of, or it's just a very low profile guy. So you might have heard of him before, a very low profile guy, and there's going to be a connection with Chris Kusarek in there. So maybe a former Cowboy, or no, not a former Cowboy. Excuse me. Maybe a former Lion. Like Kerry Hyder was. I honestly think bringing back Ziggy Ansah would be a fantastic move for this team. He tore his bicep last year. He had that Chris Kusarek connection, balled out when he had that connection. I still think it would be a great fit to this team. We didn't get to see him much last year, but I definitely think it would be a good idea to keep. So yeah. Carlos Dunlap, I think, is a bit too expensive. I know you're talking about the Bills right there. Might be a good option for them, but I think he's a bit too expensive for the 49ers. He was cut by the Seahawks. He was just cut by the Seahawks. So he would also know the Seahawks system, though. That would be a good thing if we got him, but I think he's going to be a bit too expensive.
Is DJ Jones definite to be gone?
I don't think DJ Jones, my thing with that is I don't know if he's gone. I think there's viable replacements. I'm fine with Kevin Givens starting.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking right now. So John's kind of now on the Garland trade, not as starting, but re-sign. He should be re-signed. I don't know why the easy contracts are dragging. I think it's just because there's the tampering window. It's like all the teams kind of want to explore all their options. You don't see any small contracts getting signed because teams want to just figure out what they're doing with everyone else, meet other guys. If they want to move on, maybe they'll have a bigger role with another team. It's all the small guys that keep moving around. You don't see those Ben Garlands get contracts during the tampering window necessarily. No. And by the way, the tampering window, it's new this year. Unlike years prior, teams can only talk to the agents, not the players in the tampering window, which is interesting. And I definitely think that's why the tampering window has been a bit more quiet this year. So that's my thoughts on that.
Any other questions that I can think of? We talked about receivers.
Or anything you just want to bring up as a comment or anything too.
Here's just sort of a random oddball thought. I think we extended him, but I mean, and I know that it was maybe just one bad game, but do you think that we're going to need to replace Robbie Gould anytime soon?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Nope.
All
Definitely. Right. I said that, Emil. We extended him. We're not. I mean, we extended him. Maybe he's the only reason we would replace him if he like just sucks ass next year. That's the only reason we would replace him. So yeah.
No, I mean anything special. Wishnowski? You think we'd have to replace Wishnowski?
I mean, it's his third year. He's a decent punter. We shouldn't have used him in the fourth round, but he's fine. I'm fine with that. And then Taylor Pepper, best long snapper in the league. Love that guy. So yeah.
I think, I mean, hopefully, I mean, if we're going to close this off, I have three big statements. I'm hoping for no, I mean, you can't hope for no, much less injuries going into next season. I hope that Jalen Hurd is awesome. And I hope that we re-sign Trent Williams. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely with you on that. You want to hear one funny note before we go? 2 weeks ago, Michael Brocker says Matthew Stafford is a level up on Jared Goff. Now he's on. He's
on the same team as Jared Goff.
Oh boy, that could be fun to see. So
great.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. You got anything else you want to comment on?
Nothing else.
Perfect. Well, guys, that's going to do it. You guys see Nate in the comments right here. All of that comments right there. Nate's going to be on tomorrow night talking about all these free agents right there. So make sure to check that out. Tyler Bass, definitely better than Robbie Gould. I'll be honest.
Oh,
Robbie
he
Gould,
is better.
Great kicker. But Tyler Bass, I think, will be better soon. So I'll say that really quietly. But anyways, guys, Nate will be on tomorrow. Should be a very fun stream. We might get another guest on, so stay tuned for that. But should be very fun. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this stream. We'll do another stream later on in the week with everything. There's going to be more news coming out. We'll probably have a Trent Williams deal. There's going to be a new Talking Niners on 5, more on free agency. Sorry, not on 5. On Friday, I should say. Posted on Friday. More free agency stuff. Make sure to check that out and follow Talking Niners on Twitter. Podcast available wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, you name it, all of those platforms. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Go Niners.
Go Niners.